Greetings, my comrades, and welcome back to Zonolith. Now, I have a question for you. Are you familiar with Ash Ketchum? I would assume you are if you're a viewer of this channel. Ash Ketchum, the immortal 10-year-old boy who travels around the world with his partner Pikachu to rise to the top of the Pokémon world. That Ash Ketchum, or rather Satoshi in the Japanese version. But what name you classify our living protagonist by doesn't matter, but it's been made pretty clear that Ash is not the same in every iteration of the Pokémon anime. A perfect example of this is the transition from Pokémon XY to Sun and Moon. Now, looking at the character of Ash in Sun and Moon closely, you can tell that this is the same character, but on the surface level, not so much. So why is this? Why do the writers do this? My personal idea is that they change Ash's character every new series to give that series of the Pokemon anime its own identity. And I think that's worked. I mean, you can pretty much watch any season of the anime without knowing anything besides there's a kid named Ash, he has a Pikachu, and he goes around collecting gym badges for a chance to enter that region's Pokemon League. But while this is an effective strategy in regards for allowing more newcomers to enter the Pokemon anime, this also hinders the potential of letting us know more about the character of Ash. But what if I told you that wasn't the case? Although Ash seems to act differently in a lot of iterations of the anime, looking deep down, it's clearly the same character. However, what parts of the character can we see? What hints have the writers left for us to formulate what I would call Ash's true personality? Who really is Ash Ketchum? Well, that's what we're going to be tackling in today's video. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the entire Pokemon anime series, from the original series all the way up to Sun and Moon to formulate Ash's true personality, and then come to a conclusion on what seasons of the anime to pick this true personality the best and the worst. Again, this is entirely my opinion, so feel free to leave your opinions down in the comment section down below, and we can get into a really cool discussion down there. Again, my name is Zonolith, and let's start today's journey. This time to find Ash's true personality. So before we go in depth, let's talk about the basics. This is what we can clearly tell from just watching the Pokemon anime on surface level. Although Ash may act differently throughout the entire anime, there are some things that will always carry over to new iterations of him. Perhaps the biggest thing is Ash's love for battling. No matter what you say about the character of Ash, Ash has a love for battling not really seen by other characters in the show. This is most apparent in the Sun and Moon series, where battling took a backseat in regards to the daily life of Lola episodes that we got a lot. However, Ash still clearly had a love for battling here, and he shares that love with Kiawe in his class, but this is shown in every series. Ash will always want to collect gym badges or whatever he's doing as soon as he gets to that location where they are located, and while he may not always be the best battler, he still has the drive for battling. Another key component of Ash's character is his overall love for Pokemon. I mean, you can't have a Pokemon protagonist who doesn't love Pokemon, at least not for the main character of a long-running kids show. Throughout the countless seasons of the anime, it is made clear that Ash will help any Pokemon in need. But those are the two main things I would say are always carried over to new iterations of the anime. And yes, Ash has a nice personality and is kind, but that's just a trait that a lot of protagonists have. I wanted to state more of Ash's unique qualities here. But before we go anywhere else with this whole Ash Ketchum true personality video, we need to establish something first. Now, this concept may be nothing to you, but it's important I say this. After the Diamond and Pearl series of the anime, Ash got reset in more ways than one. For one thing, the OG series up to Generation 4 wasn't very connected. We got mentions of Ash's old Pokemon and experiences that allowed him to grow as a character up until the end of the Sinnoh League. However, after this moment, Ash's character was changed. He was set to meet a status quo of essentially being a perfect protagonist in a way where he's never really impulsive, doesn't brag, and is nice to everyone even if they're a dick to him. This is essentially why I have to make this video. They continued developing Ash's character into the Best Wishes saga instead of giving him a new personality that honestly just took the best qualities of the older iteration of Ash and then added new traits to him. We wouldn't have to make this video, but since every iteration of Ash, while being the same character, is still very different from each other, this makes it very hard to state exactly what Ash's character really is. So this is not only going to be an analysis on the new age of Pokemon, but also the older one, and we're not going to establish a singular personality from any one of the Pokemon seasons, rather combine the traits from every series to deliver a proper character for Ash. So, Ash from the original series till Diamond and Pearl was essentially the same character, but just being grown upon. You can't tell me the newbie from Palatown from episode 1 can defeat Paul in the top 8 of the Sinnoh League. It just doesn't make sense. Ash from the original series is immature, impatient, and impulsive. While maintaining that love for Pokemon and battling, he has traits you would expect of a 10-year-old boy. I mean, he's probably teased Misty more than I can count, which is why Ash is such a great character in the original series, but he only gets better from there. By the end of the Johto series, he still has all those impulsive qualities and his immaturity is still there, but he's definitely grown not only as a battler, but as a character. Ash from the Johto League definitely understands the world better than 10-year-old Ash Ketchum with his tied-up Pikachu ever could. But the best thing about Ash is that after the original series, he doesn't change at all. In the Advanced series, Ash is just the same character, but with experiences of the journey. His immaturity is still shown in a way where it doesn't get tiresome, and we know that he's matured, but by taking that little slither of immaturity away, it would essentially ruin Ash's character in this era of Pokemon. Ash also becomes a mentor to May, where he learns how to teach someone about the Pokemon journey, very similar to how he's now teaching Go about this stuff now. But Ash in the Advanced generation will relatively remain the same as in Johto, still grows, as is the first time he's reset his team with the exception of Pikachu. He takes all the experiences from already once raising a team and uses that to create a new one that he believes can help him into the Hoenn League. And this is where his idealism that completely contradicts Paul's comes into play. From Kanto to Johto, Ash's character starts off immature, impatient, impulsive, but kind and battle-ready. By the end of Hoenn, he still has all those qualities of maturity and impatience, but has learned to control them better as every human does. But they are still fundamental parts to his character. He's also mature when he needs to be, maybe when one of his Pokemon is down or he needs to act in a certain way to win a battle. But Sinnoh is where I would say Ash's character really develops, and although his traits don't change, his mentality for battling certainly does. Ash's arc in Sinnoh was definitely the best of the old era and probably just the best in general, and that's all thanks to this guy, Paul. After all the adventures Ash had been through, he created a mentality that he relied on throughout his journey. However, Paul had a mentality that was completely opposite. Ash knew that he could raise a Pokemon to be strong and they could get stronger together, but Paul opposed that mentality, with his mentality being that if a Pokemon isn't naturally strong, then it's not worth his time. Obviously, with such different mentalities, the two were going to clash, and that's exactly what they do for the entire Diamond and Pearl series. Now, quickly going back to Ash's personality in Diamond and Pearl, well, again, similar to Advanced, it's essentially just a more experienced Ash from the other seasons while still having that goofy personality. Well, except now he doesn't really rush into gyms, but he still kinda does that. Ash in Diamond and Pearl, in my personal opinion, while not being my favorite iteration of the character, is probably where his character was at his best in regards to his arcs and personality. But going back to Paul, how did this change Ash? Well, it didn't really change anything major. Ash still retained his overall personality and mentality of his Pokemon, but something did change. Ash learned that he had to be harder on his Pokemon, push them to their limits in order to get stronger. Just as Paul learned from Ash learned from Paul. A perfect example of this was actually in Pokemon Journeys, episode 27, where Ash pushes Riolu to his limits. Go even states this is too much for Riolu, but Ash states that he's fine. He pushes Riolu in a more harsh manner, and that's the Paul inside of him. Ash and Diamond and Pearl is where things really hit its peak. And honestly, I would have really liked to see the writers continue Ash's journey from here, but so here we are, the beginning of a new era, the era where the writers changed Ash's character to make him fit a new status quo that really didn't change his character, but removed aspects that he had before. I mean, I don't think Ash has bragged since the end of Diamond and Pearl, but nonetheless, the past 3 animes have still been enjoyable, and in my opinion, that includes Best Wishes. Yes, Ash was reset in the series, but his character was still pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed it. Ash in Best Wishes is also, in my opinion, a mastery of coming up with unique strategies to win against opponents, but maybe that's just me. But Ash arguably became a lot nicer in the season, not that he wasn't nice before, because he was, but it was shown a lot more here. But similar to other seasons, Ash still rushed into things before thinking, and still had that love for Pokemon and battling. But something was definitely off. Like I stated before, they reset Ash from this point on in more ways than one. Although Best Wishes may be decently similar to other iterations of the character, they really don't carry over much of Ash's character in these new animes, rather just have stories for him that conclude by the end of that certain anime. For Ash in Best Wishes was how to become a trainer again, and how to overcome opponents who have outdone you. Essentially themes already used in the original series, but in a way where it didn't feel stale. Ash in Best Wishes was far from the best iteration of the character, but he wasn't that bad, not nearly as bad as people make him out to be. He still had his basic qualities from before, but lost a few things as well. And then we move on to Kalos. Oh boy. I'd say this is where our problem really begins. Ash in XY was a totally different character than any iteration before. I mean, it was still Ash, but the differences were there and clear. For one thing, Ash was amazingly more mature, and when I say amazingly, I mean it. I mean, this man went from being Ash in Best Wishes to this! On a plane ride. A plane ride! How does that even make sense? If this was off of Diamond and Pearl, maybe, but even that's a stretch. The more mature Ash was welcomed, but he was so mature it felt unnatural for Ash's character, and it makes it even worse when Ash returned to a more Diamond and Pearl-like Ash in Sun and Moon. But more on that later. Those immature qualities were shown less and less in XY, making the audience wonder why Ash went back to being the goofy, loving character he is in the Sun and Moon series, convoluting his character. Not to mention that Ash's entire arc in this series is solely based around the battles. Take the battles away, and while you'll have something for Ash's character, it won't be much. Now, focusing entirely on the battles is not a bad thing, but it's certainly not good if you want me to believe this is the same character as Ash in the previous seasons. I mean, again, the qualities of him are there, but he is so much different that honestly, it messes up my viewpoint on who this guy really is. And that's the sole reason I have to make this video. You essentially took the basics of his character and then made new things, similar to Best Wishes, but at least Best Wishes, while not being the best, maintained at least a portion of his Diamond and Pearl self. Ash in XY, while arguably being one of the best iterations of the character, didn't even feel like Ash sometimes. Now, his character was not bad in the show, but this is exactly why we have to figure out his true personality. Otherwise, people are going to continue to categorize Ash by the series he's in. Ash and XY and Sun and Moon are not different characters, but since their personalities differ so much, they might as well be. And now we enter Sun and Moon. So, a warning beforehand, this season of the anime is my favorite, so I apologize if anything in this section of the video comes out as biased, but I will attempt to be staying as factual as possible. Ash in Sun and Moon grows, but not necessarily because of battles. I mean, he is a great trainer in Alola, but what he really learns is what it means to be part of a family. The bond he has with Kukui and Burnett is proof of this. Ash learns what it means to love a place so much that he was scared to tell his friends he was leaving. I'm sorry, but Alola is probably more of Ash's home than Kanto will ever be. Ash in this series is a little too goofy, but definitely has his mature side. However, Ash in Sun and Moon, while maybe returning to a similar personality of that of Diamond and Pearl, just now fitting in the new era, with the status quo and being a little bit more goofy, caused a lot of problems for the anime community. I mean, the XY versus Sun and Moon comment wars are a thing for a reason. Like I stated before, XY's interpretation of Ash was so different, and maybe in a lot of people's perspectives better, that when they went back to a more similar Ash from the previous series, it just made people mad. And that's where the categorizing of Ash started and why this became a problem. So we've gone through every season of the anime up till Sun and Moon, so what is Ash's true personality? Well, in my opinion, Ash is an immature, goofy, energetic, and kind-hearted trainer who rushes into things before he thinks. He is mature when he needs to be, but never forgets the good things in life. Although he can be impulsive at times, over the seasons he has learned to control this better, but more importantly, he loves Pokémon. That is what I would classify as Ash's true personality. Now let's move on to the second topic of today's video. What series depicts this Ash the best and the worst? Well, for the best, I have to say Diamond and Pearl. Although Sun and Moon's interpretation of Ash is a close second, Diamond and Pearl depicts Ash with everything he has learned up until that point, while keeping a personality that fits a lot of things I stated for his true personality. Although missing a few components, Ash in Generation 4 was truly the most realistic character of Ash. As for the worst, please don't kill me. XY Ash is probably the worst interpretation of Ash from his true personality. Now, I really enjoyed Ash in XY, but his character was so different in that series than any other, so he kinda sticks out like a sore thumb. Not saying his character is bad, but he definitely differs from a lot of things the true personality states. Like, he's not nearly as goofy in XY and definitely feels more like a shonen protagonist than anything else, which Ash is far from being in any other seasons. However, I have to say that Ash in Pokemon Journeys might become the best interpretation to date. It seems like the writers are taking all the good qualities and mixing them just into one, and it's working very well. However, that's just my opinion, and you guys have a right to your own, and I would love to hear them, so please put them down in the comment section down below. But there is one more thing I should mention. No matter what season of the anime you're watching, remember you'll always have Ash Ketchum, no matter what he is like. Well guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications, and share this video out there to get more people to come here and join me for my journey. Again, my name is Monolith, and I'll catch you guys later.